Good morning to one and all present here. We will begin with the session shortly. Before beginning, we would like to thank our sponsor, React Waste Tech. With the world population not getting any lesser, the waste generation isn't either, with plastic waste at the leading board. At React Waste Tech, plastic waste is recycled into useful products, two birds with one stone. The waste management system in India is unorganized, which is where React Waste Tech steps in. Their model of functioning is a transparent one. They collect plastic of any kind and also recycle it. Join hands with them by giving them your reaction to their initiative, Recycle for the Lifestyle. Good morning, sir. We will be starting shortly.
Okay. Can you hear me clearly? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, great.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, Father Principal, Father Vice Principal, our distinguished speaker, Mr. Kaushik Mitra, members of the Advisory Committee, faculty members, and all the students of St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. We warmly welcome you to the Xavier's Management Society's Inter-College Oratory event X-Confero' 2023. X-Confero'23 is an oratory event that provides the students with an empowering, interactive, and inspiring environment which encourages them to be the best version of themselves. This year, X-Confero was conducted offline with the colleges participating from all over the country, such as Ashoka University, KIIT Bhubaneswar, Jadavpur University, and ILEAD Kolkata, among other esteemed colleges. We were privileged to have hosted such prestigious education institutions on campus. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our distinguished speaker, Mr. Kaushik Mitra. Mr. Kaushik Mitra is the Vice President and Chief Financial Officer at Pepsico India with over 29 years of experience. He was in multiple roles across several industries and companies such as the Tata Group, GE, Reckitt Benckiser, and Pepsico. Additionally, he has also authored 2 fiction novels under the Crossing Over trilogy, books that capture the aspirations, emotions, and passions of a post-liberalization middle-class India. Mr. Mitra has been associated with the PepsiCo for the past 20 years and has donned many hats since then. He was actively involved across Pepsico's food and beverages operating businesses in India, planning and strategy in Asia, Middle East, Africa sector based in Dubai. Mr. Kaushik Mitra has been a strong supporter of the D&I agenda in PepsiCo, increasing women representation in Southeast Asia and now in the Indian finance leadership team and as a speaker on the Break Ceiling Touch the Sky forum. Mr. Mitra is also a keen musician with his own YouTube channel. We sincerely thank you for glorifying our event with your presence, sir. I am sure that today's session and your insights on leadership lessons, things that really matter, will be a motivational and enriching experience for all our audience. I would now like to hand over the session to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. And it's a pleasure to come back to speak to students of the St. Xavier's College. I am an alumni myself, and really, it's my privilege to talk to all of you. So am I audible? Is the audio okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, great. Look, this session is going to be, and I have how much time? About 45 minutes to talk. Okay, great. This is going to be more experiential, more my experiences over almost 30 years of working in different companies. I've worked with Indian companies like the Goenkas, like the Tatas, and then in several multinational companies, Reckitt Benckiser, GE, and now with PepsiCo for a long time. So this is more lessons that I have learned over these years, working in different companies with different people, different cultures in different parts of the world. It's not going to be theory. It's going to be more about my take on what really works and what does it take to succeed as you start your professional journey, and things to keep in mind. The first area of discussion is about how do you develop yourself. I'll talk about a few aspects on developing yourself. The first one being, how do you train yourself to be a lifelong learner? I've realized as I work in India, in different parts of India, as I worked in the Middle East and in different parts of Asia Pacific, that you are constantly learning. And for somebody to be successful, it's very important that you have what we call learning agility. There are things to be learned from experiences. Sometimes failures teach you more than success. There are things to be learned from difficult situations. There are things to be learned from the people that you work with, your colleagues, your bosses, your team members. Every experience teaches you something, and that helps you as you go along in your professional life. The Japanese have a very nice term for it. It's called soshing, which is, how do you keep your mind like that of a child? And the question that you have to ask yourself is, when was the last time that you did something for the first time? This curiosity, this learning agility will help you assimilate knowledge, experiences way, way beyond what you will read in terms of the traditional way of acquiring knowledge. And as you go on in your professional life, this is what really matters. Learning from people, learning from experiences, learning from places, learning from cultures. And I've always seen that there is always something positive or good to learn from everyone that you interact with. So the first thing that I would tell all of you as you embark on you finish your education, most of you would be going on to doing something in the professional domain, working in the corporate world, being entrepreneurs, or whatever you pursue in life, be a lifelong learner. That's the first thing. The second thing, which has really helped me all through my professional life, is being able to think, plan, and execute. And these are simple words, but let me break it down for you. Thinking is all about two dimensions. The one part of thinking is the short term, here and now. What do we do today? What do we do this year? How do we get things done in the short term, immediate term? And most of our lives are about that. We are always grappling with what is urgent. That's the first piece of thinking. The other piece of thinking is the longer term, the broader horizon, or what we call strategic thinking. And I've seen people who succeed in the long term in professional life are people who are able to straddle the spectrum of short term operating, executing thinking, and the long term, wider strategic thinking. Think of it like the balcony and the dance floor. I mean, you're sitting on the balcony and you have a view of what's happening on the stage, or you're on the stage itself doing things and getting things done. And planning always helps. Preparing always helps. I've realized that whatever I do, whether it's a business meeting, or it's a negotiation, or it's a talk like this, it always helps to be planned, and it always helps to prepare rather than rushing into it. So thinking, planning, executing, this will stay with you through life, because it's all about getting things done successfully. Strategy is about doing the right thing. Execution is about doing things right. Therefore, both are important. If you get the strategy wrong, then you are actually doing the wrong thing in the right way, which does not get you to the right result. So keep honing your skills on thinking, planning, and executing. The third aspect of developing yourself is communication. And what I mean by communication, it's not really the Queen's English. As I work in different parts of the world, I have seen that my counterparts, when I work with folks in Asia Pac, whether in Vietnam or in Hong Kong, where I was based, and in China, when I work with my colleagues there, I realized that they don't have the gift of English that we have. They have not gone, or they have not learned English in primary school. Their kids, the children are now learning English. So we have a unique gift of the language, right? But I'm not talking about the English language. That's not what communication is about. Communication is about understanding your audience. Communication is the art of simply conveying what you want to convey to your audience. And therefore, the first thing about communication is not what you are saying, but what others are understanding. I find the physical interactions far better when I do sessions like these, because I can gauge the audience. I can understand the mood in the room. It's very important to understand when you're communicating, what's the mood in the room? Are people following you? Sometimes I realize that you're talking about something where people are, either switched off or they're not interacting. So the Zoom sessions are very difficult for me because I can't gauge my audience. I don't know whether you all are engaged in the conversation that's going on. All I can see is the number of participants that I have. But communication is about the audience. Communication is also about being sharp and being brief. Think about it. You are with, let's say, the CEO of your company, and you get into the elevator with the CEO in the car park, and you have going to the 4th floor. You just have 4 floors, a few seconds, and there's a very important topic that you have to communicate to him, or he or she has asked you a question which you have to answer in that short time. How do you answer that question, right? I have realized that we are very good at elongating things. This is an Indian philosophy. I remember when I was giving my exams, etc. I was very comfortable in writing more and making things longer. But as I get into professional life, I realized long is not good, short is good, because people don't have time. As you get into professional life, you'll realize that particularly the senior management, time is short. So those people who are able to communicate, focusing on the right audience, being able to give the right message in a short time, being brief, they are the ones who do very, very well. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, life is going to be all about working with people, and I'll come to that section, and communication will play a big, big role in that. The other thing about communication is very, very interesting. When we went to Vietnam, we lived in Vietnam. My wife was always very frustrated because we had a Vietnamese driver, and he used to struggle to understand what we are saying. And I would keep reminding ourselves that I cannot expect somebody who's Vietnamese to understand English. It's not natural for them. And the question to myself is, can I learn Vietnamese? And that will make the conversation so much more easier. So the other thing is about the audience is if you can communicate in the language that people understand, okay, it just need not be the language itself, but this is an example of a language. Right now I'm in Egypt. I'm actually 3.5 hours ahead, so it's about 6:50 in the morning here, and I work with a lot of Egyptians. As soon as you can talk a little bit of the language, wow, you are completely at home. So language makes communication so easy and so effective, right? Whenever I meet somebody, I'm a Bengali. I'm from Calcutta, so I was born and brought up in Bengal. So whenever I meet somebody who's a Bengali, first thing I ask is, do you speak the language? And we start talking that language, and there is a bond which develops. So remember this in life. Communication, it's not about you. It's not about how smart you are. In Vietnam, I had this problem of, firstly, long sentences, using elaborate words. And then I realized they're struggling to understand what I said and say. And my boss came and told me, hey, what are you doing? I used to write these long emails. He said, they're not understanding what you're saying. Okay. So short is brief and slow down. Take it slow. So remember that piece about communication. The fourth thing on developing yourself is adaptability. Okay, I wish now we spend a lot of time talking about this topic in our education system, whether it is in colleges. We should have multiple courses on learning things like learning agility and adaptability. Okay. I mean, look at the world post-COVID. I still remember we were in our conference room having a business meeting when somebody said, somebody from the advertising agency who the marketing team was working with has got COVID. And we said, okay, we shut down the office. We come back after 2 days. Everything's going to be normal. And we didn't go back to office for 2 years. And we still haven't gone back to office full time. Life has completely changed. We are in a hybrid mode of working. Not everybody comes to work every day. I've shifted my office to another location and made it more adaptable to what the future holds. We keep traveling across different parts of the country. We went from Calcutta to Gurgaon to Chennai, then to Dubai, then to Ho Chi Minh City, Hong Kong, all these places. As I go, I realize one of the most important things for everybody, your family, who you have to adapt. Okay, people who have, and I come the next topic linked with adaptability is attitude. Okay, and attitude is really everything. I went to Vietnam, and it was a very, very different country, very, very different culture, and within 3 months into the job, the head of IT who reports into me, he came and told me, boss, all the systems are down. There is some virus planted. There is a virus, and nothing is working. And I felt like a victim. I said, oh God, I just came into this job 3 months into my job, and why is this my problem? So I told him, go fix the problem. I don't know. It's your job. He said, no, it's never happened before. You are the boss. You tell me what to do. So for one day, I really sulked and I felt like a victim. Why is this happening to me? In life, this situation will happen to every one of you. Every one of you. Okay. The thing is, what happens in your mind when situations like this happen? And I realized that after a day, nobody is doing anything. I had a Japanese boss. It was a joint venture with a Japanese company, Pepsico, and a Japanese company. And my Japanese boss came and told me, sales is not happening. Systems are down. You are the head of information technology. Why aren't you doing anything about it? More pressure. And then after a day, I realized nobody's going to do anything about it. So you have to do something. And then when that it was really like awakening. When I realized and the realization dawned, I picked up the phone. I talked to some other colleagues in Vietnam. Some of the senior positions are people from our country, and I knew some of them. And they said, our systems are also down. This is some virus from somewhere else, right? Everything is down. Then I realized, oh, I'm not the only one. We are not the only one. There are others. And then I moved to the third stage. So from victim, I moved to a neutral stage, which, okay, it's not so bad. Something has to be done. And then I moved to the other stage, where it could be an opportunity. If I get my systems up in faster than the others, then it's a competitive advantage for us. Now, life will throw you these curved balls all the time. It is how you handle the situation. It is what happens in your mind. And we will always start by feeling like a victim. That's human nature. How do you condition your mind to move fast, overcoming the victim stage and getting to looking at it as an opportunity and thinking about what needs to be done? That's the beauty. Okay. That's a very, very, very important aspect of, and adaptability is linked to that, because nothing is going to go, most of the things will not go according to the rule book. Somebody just gave me a call just before this session, said the link is not working. So we sent you another link on the email, right? And I can tell you, I travel. I'm in a place called Sharm el Sheikh, which is an hour from Cairo, and I missed my flight last night, so I had to take the next flight, and nothing works. So adaptability is a skill that you have to arm yourself. And I wish our education system spend more time on adaptability. The last piece on developing yourself is something that I feel very proud of, something that PepsiCo as a company allows all its employees to really live, and that is values and integrity. Okay, this is a very, very enduring feature of our organization. Integrity is 100% or nothing. There is no shortcut. No matter how tough it is, no matter how hard it is, we will do what is right. And and this is like the air, the oxygen that we breathe. It's the fabric, it's the culture. And as all of you go out to work and fly your own kite, please create a culture of ethics, values, and integrity, because you all are going to be the future of society. And I can tell you that India has improved significantly on this paradigm. But I've worked in other places. We still have its glass half full. We still have a long way to go. And even personally, for success, when we look at people for senior leadership position, this is a very important thing that we look at. Values, ethics, integrity. Can the person be counted on to do the right thing, or do we feel that under pressure you may vacillate, right? So I talked about being a constant learner. Okay, Saushing, have a mind like a kid, always learning, thinking, planning, and executing. Understand your audience. Be brief. Communication. Adaptability and positive attitude. Okay. Another interesting story about positive attitude. It's like why do you get out of bed? The Japanese have another term called ikigai, the reason to get out of bed. So we were in Japan Me and my wife, we were when I was working with a Japanese company, we used to go to Japan quite often. And there was this 80-year-old lady who was a tour guide on the bus. And we were really amazed. What is she doing here? Why is she doing this? And she said, the reason I do these tours is at my age, the reason for me to get out of my bed is to meet new people. Okay, wow. Said, wow, that is something. So, so that's the first piece about developing yourself. The second piece is working with others. All our lives, honestly, I mean, what do I use in my job that I learned in school, in college, in my MBA program, in the CA program? Honestly, very little. What has stayed is English and maths, really. And everything is about people. Everything is about working with people. If you have to be successful in life, you have to be good with people. Okay. And actually, unfortunately, I love words, but I'm stuck with a career in numbers. Okay. I write books, I write novels. I really love the romance of words, but I'm juggling numbers most of the time. So what is it about working with others? There are a few aspects. Let me talk about the first aspect. And that is about how do you influence people? All our lives, all the time, we are influencing others. Actually, when you guys get into professional life, things are going to be. We always thought when we graduated, and knowledge was power, because few people had knowledge. We didn't have the kind of open networks and social media and things like that. I don't know how many of you have heard about ChatGPT. Most of you may have heard of it. I have a 23-year-old son. He's a software engineer in San Francisco. So he came last year and he said, you know what are you doing? You have a problem at work. Why don't you ask ChatGPT? Says what ChatGPT? I have people to go to if I have a problem. So he writes codes. He says, whenever I get stuck on a code or something very, very difficult, I define my problem on ChatGPT. It gives me a very good answer. I said, wow, knowledge is no longer power. You don't even have to go to people for knowledge. You don't even have to go to experts. Open AI, that's the world that is coming. So what are we going to do as human beings? What are we going to do as leaders? What are we going to do as professionals? The one thing that will not go away is working with people. The one thing that will not go away is a family situation where you're deciding, okay, where do I go for 4 or 5 friends together? Where do we go and eat? That's an influencing conversation. Okay, with your professors and the colleagues when you get to work, how do we solve a problem? Okay, influencing is not going to go away, and there are 3 things that have worked for me on influencing, and there are 3 Greek words: ethos, logos, and pathos. Ethos is about credibility. And that's a very important part of the influencing framework. I call it the triangle of influence. I've written an article on that. People listen to you. People get influenced by you. People will be led by you because of who you are and what is your credibility. So and what is credibility? Credibility is like a glass ball. It's like it takes a long time to build, very easy to break. When you look at leaders, or whoever your professors and when you get into corporate life, people that you work with, you'll find different kinds of people. Different leaders have different ethos. Some leaders are very charismatic. When they get on a stage, when they talk, people sit up and listen. Okay, you get goosebumps. There are other leaders who are humble, modest. They are behind the scenes. The team is in front. They are motivating the team from the back. When the going gets tough, they come in front. Okay, you have to find what is your own ethos, what is your own credibility. Why will others listen to you? How will you influence things, and how will you get things done? The second thing is logos, which is logic. That is pretty simple. Most of us have it. Indians, I have seen, we are left brain people. We love logic. We love an argument. I've seen that you put 10 Indians in a room. Everybody has a different point of view. Nobody agrees on anything. Uh, and then there's a good of that. There's a bad of that. And I've also seen places where, you know, uh, there are some people who kind of lead the thinking, others execute, others follow. But logic, most of us, imagine having a conversation with your professor, imagine having a conversation with your boss, or you're going for an interview, and there is no logic in what you're saying. Thank you very much. You're wasting your time. But the third element is the most endearing part, and that is pathos. Pathos is nothing but emotional connect. We use that a lot in our personal lives. Okay, I have seen, I'm married for 28 years, and most of the discussions with my better half are, the credibility is there, the logic most of the time doesn't work. Okay, yesterday was our anniversary, and I'm traveling on a business trip, so I found it very difficult to explain why I have to travel on a company trip on a Saturday and a Sunday, and on our anniversary day. Very tough. Okay, so the logic doesn't work. What works is the emotional connect. Okay, now we have to take that emotional connect and bring it to the workplace, bring it to the professional domain. I have seen people fighting over small things. Okay, but when the emotional connect is there, then things get done very quickly. And this is as much relevant in your personal domain as much as it is. It's a tool, it's a weapon, it's a skill that if you have will help you win friends, influence people all through life. And so ethos, logos, and pathos. Okay, this is the framework of influencing. The second is building trust. When you work with people, you have to build trust. Think of it like we all want money in our bank accounts. Think of trust as something like an account that you have with people. And the trick is to keep depositing and growing your trust balance with your key stakeholders. Again, it's personal and professional. Both domains, this concept always works. I've seen situations where there is a small problem. People are saying 50 emails to each other. It's like a ping pong match which is going on, email. Okay. And a very simple thing. I realize that situation, there's zero trust. So when you have zero trust or low trust, even the smallest problem becomes a big problem and you're not able to solve. But when you have high trust amongst individuals, 1:1, high trust amongst teams, and when you get into work life, you'll realize we have functions, we have marketing, we have sales, we have supply chain, we have finance, you have R&D, HR. A lot of the things are cross-functional in nature. The objectives always do not sync. Okay, finance is an objective of improving margins. Sales is an objective of improving sales, which may not be improving margins, right? So if you have trust in teams, if you have trust in individuals, then you are able to, row the boat in one direction, and you're able to win the race, and you're able to come up tops. This is a very important thing about working with people. Building trust, depositing trust money into trust accounts. I have realized that I've worked in so many places with so many people. Everywhere that I go, I have to start from scratch. Okay, people know me because I've been in the company for a while. There is some credibility going along. But when I work with people, they get to know me, I get to know them from the beginning. And what helps is building trust. I really literally do this. Take a piece of paper, then I'm in a new job, in a new role, and write down all my stakeholders. Who are my stakeholders? And then I have a 30, 60, 90-day plan to build the trust. It's an investment on your part. A lot of us just let it be. They expect the other to reach out, but if you take the onus on yourself, magic will happen. The third piece about working with people is something that is very dear to me, and that is diversity and inclusion. And every time I've been in and out of the country, and every time I come back to India, I'm really so happy and delighted to see the number of women that we have in the workspace now. I see that in Pepsico, and Pepsico's policy obviously is to have not only women in the workforce. We want people from different cultures. We want representation in our workforce as we have in our consumers. Okay. And this is a beautiful thing. And when I was in Southeast Asia, when I was in Hong Kong, I had an all-women team. When I was in Vietnam, I used to go to the factories, go to the markets. We had distributors, people, the jobs, typically retail outlets, the jobs which are normally done by men in most part of the world, all women. And when I was in Dubai, as the first stint outside the country, I had a team who was there was somebody from Vietnam, somebody from Turkey, somebody from Lebanon, somebody from the UAE, somebody from the UK, nobody from India, somebody from China, somebody from Colombia, somebody from Guatemala. And again, I felt like a victim the first 3 months, and it was a tough job. It was planning and strategy for all of what we call Asia, Middle East, Africa, which is other than Europe and the US, 74 markets, different countries. If I didn't do my job well, and in Pepsico, we are a performance-oriented company. So God bless you. Thank you very much. So I felt like a victim. Oh God, how do I manage this team? It's a problem. And then I realized that actually it is not a problem. The problem is in my head, because different perspectives help the solution in making it richer. And you have to understand the individuals. I realized that the Chinese person had a lot of good ideas, but he didn't speak in meetings. So I had to tell him, hey, Han, what do you think about this? Why don't you talk? And then he went. Okay, the Colombian person just kept talking. That's culture, in South America. Okay. So understanding people and bringing out the best in them, really the power of diversity is amazing. So again, there is a huge business case for diversity. Women definitely in the workforce. I don't know whether you heard that Ruchi Sharma session with I think it was with NTV, or I forget which one. I mean, India has a GDP, has a I think 4-5% of GDP opportunity if we keep getting more and more women into the workplace. Okay, so as you become leaders, as you go into your professional domain, be leaders, be professionals, whatever you do, embrace diversity. I can tell you, I have seen it. It works. Women bring a lot of solidity to the teams. They bring a lot of empathy to the teams, and the output, the result is far richer. There's a safety net that you're casting when you have diversity. Just like when you have businesses which are diverse, if you have teams which are diverse, it's like a safety net. And the culture of inclusion is something that we have to build. It's glass half full, honestly. Okay. The Western world is far ahead of us. Okay. And inclusion is asking the question, what difference does the difference bring? In terms of where you come from, how do you look, the color of your skin, your sexual orientation, just name it. We are all different. What does it matter? What does it matter? Okay, so, but it's not easy. It's not easy as I'm saying it. Okay, but it's again the battle in your mind. How do you create, when you become senior leaders, how do you create a culture of inclusion where everyone can feel free and everyone can bring out their best? The leadership job, in my mind, I don't know how I'm doing on time, is about bringing out the best in others. Okay, it's not about how good you are. And as you become more and more senior, your success is not going to be dependent on what you are doing, how bright you are, how good you are. It is going to be all about how you bring out the best in people. And if you are an inclusive leader, that helps bring out the best in everybody that you work with. And the fourth piece on working with others is networking. When we started, we had no platforms to network. Okay, but you guys now have, we all of us have so many platforms and so many ways of networking. And what do I mean by networking? Networking again links up with connecting with people, right? And honestly, I realized late in life, I'm not I never gave value to networking. As long as I do my job and I'm doing well, who cares about others? Okay. And why do I need to network? And I learned this from my better half. I mean, wherever she goes, I mean, she's making friends, connecting with people. And I realized that there is a huge payoff of that in the long run. The network just multiplies and multiplies and multiplies. And there is an opportunity and there is something in the network, with every third person that you're linked with. So I realized later on in life that, wow, I missed a big opportunity. For 30 years, okay, for let's say 30, 35 years, I started really professionally networking, personally networking after I was 40. Okay. And to the extent that very simple thing earlier, whenever I used to go to a new location, I go somewhere, okay, I go to the US, we have a lot of friends and family there, or even the Middle East. So wherever I travel, I used to just do my work, do my thing, come back. Okay. But now I invest time, I spend time, find time to go and meet people. Right. And that's on the personal side. On the professional side, it's so easy. You put it in your calendar, you plan it that way. Never have I in my calendar put, okay, connect with 5 people this week. Never. But now I try to do that. Now, this is like, think of it like a deposit which will multiply cumulative over many years. Okay. After 20 years, if you start your network investments today, you'll get phenomenal payoff after 10 years, 15 years. So working with others, influencing with ethos, logos, pathos, build trust, deposit money into your trust account, embrace, be diverse and inclusive leaders. Build that environment in India. We need it, I'm telling you. And there are massive payoffs. And the third and the last piece is build your network, start now, don't wait for others. So that's working with others. But at the end of the day, if you have to be successful in life, we have to get things done. So I'm going to talk a few minutes about getting things done. The first thing that I'll say is we all must have something called PhD. It's not a doctorate degree that I'm talking about. I'm talking about passion, hunger, and discipline. Passion, hunger, and discipline. That is the PhD that you need to succeed in life. If you're not passionate about what you do, you can't succeed. Sometimes what you are doing in professional life is what you really want to do. Sometimes it is something that you start liking. A lot of times it's like, again, it's back to that ikigai. Something that you are good at, something that you're passionate about, something that adds value to others, something that you get something in return for. If all those things happen, beautiful. But in life, sometimes it doesn't happen like that. As I said, I love words. I got stuck with numbers. So what? It's okay. That's fine. But you have to be passionate about whatever you do. And it's not only professional pursuits. I mean, a lot of people ask me, how on earth do you hold down a very complex, difficult, demanding job? And you do a lot of stuff on music and you write books, etc. I said, if you're passionate about something, there is no excuse. Time is not an excuse. It's in the mind. Okay. It's again the mental frame. Hunger. What is hunger? Hunger is think about our cricketers. Okay, let's take some cricketing examples. All these people who get a lot of runs. Let's say it's Sachin, Kohli, whoever. The hunger, the desire to get that extra run, that next 100 or whatever it is. I mean, people have achieved everything, but those professionals who keep going, okay, or think of tennis, right? Federer. Wow, the hunger is amazing. Amazing. And I don't have the pictures. People who are successful hate to lose. So I remember one interview, Roger Federer, they were asking, he lost, and I think in the final, he said, "How are you feeling?" He was crying. He was literally in tears. So it must hurt to lose. You must have the hunger to win. You must have the hunger to do well. This is the second element. The third element is discipline. I went to a boarding school up in the hills in Kurseong, and I can tell you that is something which I learned in boarding school has stayed with me all through life. There is no randomness about success. You have to be disciplined. There is a method in the madness. Sometimes we have a lot of madness, chaos around us. A good professional, a successful professional will bring, structure to that chaos. Who's able to harness that force is able to succeed. Okay. So passion, hunger, and discipline. Remember these three things, very, very important. A lot of people struggle with that. Today, careers are not single careers through life. Okay. I think now people are having multiple careers. People are having, okay, I did this for some time, I stop, I do something else. And that's fine. That's okay. As long as you find, your passion and you are hungry for more, that's important. The other thing that I feel relevant today is focus. We have so much to do, so much information, so many things. How do we focus? This Chinese entrepreneur, Jack Ma, he said somewhere, focus is like, think about, you have a garden where there are many rabbits and you're chasing a rabbit. And you go out and you see, there's a pink rabbit. You like the pink rabbit, you're chasing the pink rabbit. But it's very elusive, can't get that. And then suddenly you see, oh, there is a blue rabbit. Okay, forget the pink rabbit, let's chase the blue rabbit. And we chase the blue rabbit for some time. So no, that is also elusive. What to do? Let's go after the white one. And he says, don't change your goalposts. You can change your strategy, change your tactic. Okay. But be focused about what you want to achieve. A lot of us, and you will see that in your professional life, in your careers. Okay. Today's world is about plenty, everything all the time. But within that, you have to really, really focus. I honestly plan for how I consume media, how I consume the news. I have to really plan for what I watch, what I do, because time is limited. Okay. So, and it'll happen to all of you as well. If you are planful and if you are able to focus, that will help you channel your energies in a positive way. The last piece I want to talk about is inspiration leadership. What do leaders do which inspire action? One part is the theory, the other part is actually making things happen. Okay. And I love this movie, Scully, the plane that landed on the Hudson. Most of you would have seen that movie. A lot of you would have seen that movie. There's one moment from that movie in the cockpit when things are going wrong and it's an indecisive moment and it's a crisis situation. People are feeling like a victim. And then Sully says, my aeroplane. Leadership is about decision making. Leadership is about taking charge. It is about taking responsibility for your actions. Great leaders take decisions, take responsibility, take charge. Bad leaders no decisions can be right or wrong. The worst thing is not taking a decision, not taking charge. You will find that situation in life, right? Again, it links back to the frame in the mind. So to inspire action, you have to take decisions, be accountable, don't be afraid. We always feel we need 100% data to take our actions and decisions. Honestly, in life, you'll never have 100%. Never. Okay. So don't wait for the 100% thing. You'll have to take the call. A lot of it is we keep talking about data and science, and it's part of my job, but I can tell you a lot of it is gut. A lot of it is luck. But don't hesitate to take decisions, and don't hesitate to take responsibility. Don't be afraid. I hate people who sit on the fence. There's a discussion going on. There are people here, and some people sitting on the fence. Okay. The fence sitters are the worst. It doesn't matter. It's okay. In our company, we call it voicing your opinion fearlessly. You must have a point of view. Okay. The other part about being inspirational is and I've touched upon it before, is it's the team first always. And this is something that I believe makes great leaders. If you read the book Good to Great, if you haven't read it, it's a great book by Jim Collins. Level 5 leadership. Level 5 leadership is all about, leaders who make leaders out of others. And again, it's all about how do you empower people, how do you provide the right environment, how do you develop them. Somebody said, I forget. There's a famous quote by one of the HR folks, which is surround yourself with people who are better than you. Okay, and that's a tough thing to do because we always want to be the best and the brightest in every situation. No, doesn't help, because the job is not to get the best out of you. The job is to get the best out of others. So surround yourself with people who are better and brighter than you. Okay, so invest in people. That's the other thing inspirational leaders do. So this is a session with somebody called Matt Church, who's an inspirational speaker, did with us some time back, and I loved what he said. He said leadership is like, if I were to look at the old chiefs, the tribal chiefs of the past, and I were to take some leadership lessons from them, what did the leaders, those chiefs, do? What was their job, which relates to us today? And he said the chiefs did 3 things. The chiefs greeted with intent. The chiefs lit the fire every day, and the chiefs forgive with ease. And he said, okay, greet with intent. He talked about a school principal of a primary school who would stand at the gate, welcome all the students, welcome the teachers, welcome the parents, and who would stand at the gate and see everybody off. Leaders bring positivity to the workplace, right? So great leaders, you will see, no matter what's going on inside, no matter how difficult the situation is creating that positive energy. Energy is very, very important when we're working with people, and particularly for leaders, right? Lighting the fire. Leaders set the context. And every day you'll have a new situation, new challenge, setting the context, calling it right, calling it what it is, right, is the job of the leader. And leaders forgive with ease. Okay, it's not about failing. Often we create a culture of fear, and that doesn't go very far. You can't motivate people with fear. You can't get the best out of people with fear. So how do you create a culture where you fail fast, move ahead, and that really works? I think I've done. I have 5 minutes left. So look, it's great talking to all of you. This is a very vast topic. I didn't want to talk anything about theory. I mean, you guys are all going to learn everything, right? Data and knowledge today is far, far more available than it ever used to be in our time. But the richness of experiences is what I wanted to communicate. And I'm happy to take any questions. Again, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I love talking to students, but it's a pleasure really to come back and talk to XMS and the students from my alumni.
Thank you so much, sir. So we have the first question from Parikshit Agarwal.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So, sir, you have authored 2 fictional novels, 100 Days of Summer and Crossing Over, and are a regular contributor of the IMA CFO Connect magazine. So, sir, has writing been a hobby for you or a skill you have mastered eventually?
This is a great question. What I keep telling myself is, am I working to live or am I living to work? Okay. And and that's also taken me some time to realize that you are not living to work. You're working to live. Okay, the work or whatever you do in a professional space is the means to an end, but that's not the end in itself. Okay, life is much beyond that. So writing for me is something which relaxes me. It's a right brain activity. Most of my job, most of the time in the professional domain, it's left brain activity, right? And the larger part of the brain is the right brain. Honestly, we don't use it enough, except for people who are in the arts and so I don't care about the result. By the way, the books don't do too well. Okay, the publisher is always creeping. But it's okay. I mean, it's just the joy of doing what I'm doing. This is also very, very important. Being results oriented is important, but sometimes just doing it for the sake and the joy of doing it is also important. So yeah, I mean, don't expect too much. I don't expect too much of professional success from writing. But it's like I always wanted, and I still haven't achieved it. I always had this Everest. Everybody has his or her own Everest, okay, which is what we know, something which is really aspirational vision, something probably you'll never achieve, is to see my book in an airport. And I have to travel a lot. I've traveling a lot, and I see these books. I love books, and whenever I go, I always go to the bookstore, and I see the books, and I see the bestsellers list, and I say, "Wow, how can I get my book here?" Not yet done, but okay, I keep working.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Parikshit. Thank you, sir. The second question is from Anjane Tiwari.
Good morning, sir. Am I audible?
Hi, good morning.
Yes, sir. My question was, sir, you spoke about the 3 elements required, that are passion, hunger, and discipline. But as college students, we often have to choose between our hobbies and our responsibilities. Being a music enthusiast and a reader and writer yourself, what are your opinions on how to maintain, on the importance of pursuing hobbies to maintain the social work balance in our lives?
Yeah, look, I mean, that's a very good question. That's a question in everybody's mind, which is, I love doing something, and then we also went through. We had I don't know whether you guys have the WhatsApp nowadays, but we at that point, at some point in time, I also thought, this is it. Let me just do music, and then that. But the question for you is at the end of the day, what do you see yourself doing for the next 20, 30, 40 years, right? Which fulfills 4 criteria. Criteria number 1 is it adds value to others. Okay, it adds value to you. The value can be monetary. Those equations change over time, right? But there's got to be a value exchange. That's the first thing. And I would put the value first, because you are students, and therefore it's the, and let's say the economic value, right? Then the added part is, if you're passionate about that, and it's that something which is, if you can make your hobby your profession, that's great. But can you be within the top 5, 6, or 10 musicians in the country, and people are really willing to offer you value to get your services, whatever you do, right? That's a critical question. Okay, so I would right now focus your efforts and energies on making sure that you get that value equation right. I always thought, who's going to pay me money to do what? I mean, when I joined the first company, I said, what am I going to do after all my education and all that? But what am I going to do at work, which people are going to pay me for? And then slowly, as I got into finance, I got into the different aspects and things. I started loving it, because in profession and in your work life, you have to bring your head, heart, and hand to the job every day. The head and the hand has to come. That will come. You can't succeed if you don't have that. But it's the heart which keeps you going the long time. So sometimes you don't know what you want. My son went into college doing industrial engineering, and then suddenly he said, "No, I'm going to do computer science." And then he changed to computer science, and that has become his profession. So sometimes you don't know what you really like and love, right? You have to give yourself more time. Right? But think about the value trade. There's a value trade in life which is important. People must be willing to get a value from you, and you must be you will seek a value from that, right? That's important.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Anjane. Thank you so much, sir. We have the last question from Shruti Beria.
A very good morning to you, sir. So my question to you is, many of us have aspirants to work in international companies, and there are several ways to reach that destination. Having done your higher education from IIM, so do you think that a degree from a prestigious university is always necessary to end up getting a job in an MNC like Pepsico?
That's a good question. I don't think it is necessary, but it helps. Okay. It's not a man. It's not a we go to campuses. And it's not only the IIMs that we go to. Okay, so we hire from all campuses. So no, if you want to work in a multinational company, firstly you have to be clear about in terms of what is your discipline. Okay, which is the area of interest, because the qualification is the entry ticket to the stadium. Okay, it's the gate pass. I've seen people who are brilliant, and I remember in our time everybody was doing, chartered accountancy, company secretaryship, cost accounting. Yeah, they're like piling up the degrees, but that's not what is required to succeed in life. It's not the number of qualifications. It is about how all the stuff that I said, and it is people are going to forget after 5 years or 10 years what was your qualification. It's yes, it's good to have a professional degree when you enter. That always helps, but need not be from a premier institute. What we look at in our kind of organizations is how you are building yourself for growth. And when I look at senior positions and I look at moving people up, I look at first thing, I don't look at qualification. First, okay, you need a basic qualification, you need some kind of a qualification to come in. But I look at attitude. I look at how do you face challenges? Okay. How do you overcome tough situations? How do you work with people? Ethos, logos, pathos, those kind of things are what we ultimately look at. But yeah, I mean, you obviously need, it helps to have a professional qualification, not necessarily from absolutely the top university.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Shruti. Thank you so much, sir. Very good morning to Father Principal, Father Vice Principal, members of the advisory committee, and all the dignitaries present here, respected professors, faculty members, participants, and all the students of St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. As we conclude this session, I would like to thank our esteemed speaker, Mr. Mitra, for providing such an insightful session to enrich the young minds. Engaging with a man with thoughts and personality like yours is indeed a pleasure. We sincerely appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today for such an inspirational session, sir. Your knowledge will be both beneficial and motivating to our audience. Thank you so much, sir.
Oh, thank you very much, and it's really a delight and a pleasure. No better way to start an early day than to speak to students of St. Xavier's College. And thank you. My appreciation and thanks to Father Peter. I think I can see him on the screen.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir, for starting the day.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to talk to my alumni. Have a great day, all of you. Take care.
Wish you all the best to you too, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay. I would like to invite Professor Rajashek Sen, Department of Management Studies, to deliver the vote of thanks. Sir, sir, are you here?
Yes, I have to logged in. I have turned on the video also, and someone else has already told the lines. Okay, no problem.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, okay, no problem.
Okay.
So I'm leaving the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I request all the students to please stay back for a short announcement. So, attendance and credit forms have been rolled out. All BMS students are requested to fill in the attendance form. A credit form has been rolled out for all the non-BMS students. It will be closed in 5 minutes. Kindly check and do the needful. Thank you so much.